Final Stop Brazil, Chapter 4, Locked in Hell. I am stepping into something which reminds me of a giant cage. 3 closed walls, and the fourth side is closed with bars. Everywhere is laundry hanging up on ropes. It is dirty and stinks of sweat, garbage, and more. In the center are big garbage bags, the terrible stench coming from these bags. On the floor are so-called mattresses, each one divided by 2 women lying or sitting on them. Here are so many women scraped together, they seem countless for me. I am paralyzed by shock and fear. One of these women is coming towards me. She reminds me by a statue of a sumo wrestler, and the rest of her, especially her big teeth, make me even more afraid. She introduces herself as Tanya and asks me to follow her. Passively, I let her pull me with her, and now can see there are cells, one in each of the 4 corners of this cage. The cell I enter together with Tanya contains 3 bunks on top of each other, each one occupied by 2 women. But also inside here are mattresses on the floor. Altogether, there are about 20 women inside this small cell. I am being surrounded by them, looking at me curiously, wanting to know everything about me. But I am simply in a state of shock. Apart from this, I am just horrified. Me, who suffers from panic attacks as soon as strange people come too close, and who's always avoided body contact with strangers. Am I supposed to spend the next 4 years in this inhuman manner? Just the thought of it makes me break down into heavy open sobbing. I am staying in this state of shock for days, then for weeks, just crying without eating anything. In a short time, I am losing so much weight that I'm only skin and bones. I only drink milk and coffee. Talking to anybody is not possible for me. These women don't understand Spanish, and I don't understand the gíria, the ghetto slang of them. At first, they keep me inside the cell, and I sleep on the floor between the other women. After a while, they make me sleep outside of the cell on the floor, in the big cage without a roof. This place is open at the top, just secured by bars. It is very cold, and since my body doesn't have no more natural forces, I become very sick with a heavy bronchitis. I can hardly breathe anymore, but I don't care. Since the day I stepped into this cage, I lost every motivation to live. I just want to die. One of these Brazilians notices, though, how serious my state is, and that I am just about to choke. She alerts the guards, who immediately bring me out of the cage into a hospital, where I am given a cortisone injection and am being put on a respiration machine. The visit of the German consul is not very promising. On the contrary, he just wants to know how I can be helped in a financial way, and if my parents would help me. I tell him no, and beg him not to inform my parents under any circumstances. My father would not survive the news. But your daughter doesn't have money to support you, is the commentary of this Mr. Sturm. He advises that he will apply for social benefit in Germany. But I haven't even been living in Germany anymore for a long time. I'm a Spanish resident. All of my personal belongings and my money are in Spain. I need to talk to the Spanish consulate, I protest. Of this, Mr. Sturm doesn't want to know anything. In his generosity, he leaves 50 reais with me because in this jail one is allowed to have money. Clyde, one of the Brazilian women, owns illegally a few cell phones and runs big business with them because this is the only way for everybody to contact the outside world. She offers me to make a first phone call for free. Naturally, I call Michael first. He doesn't understand at all what happened and asks me again and again, when am I coming home? It is simply terrible and tears my heart apart. But still, I try to pull myself together and make him promise me to stay in Spain, no matter what is going to happen. Also, I beg him urgently to report to Kande what happened and plead her to take Max out of the canal. At this moment, I don't have any idea this is too much for Michael. He cannot cope with the situation, and he feels ashamed to tell anyone that I have been arrested. Michael, who is still staying with Chris, hands, after I beg him, his mobile phone to Chris, who gives me the impression to be very shocked. What on earth happened? But instead of explanations, I asked him to look for the telephone number of my landlady, to make an appointment with her and take my belongings out of the apartment. Most important are my documents, photos, clothes, jewelry, CDs, and all my souvenirs that are not replaceable. Cut. Besides, I count to him my other belongings, such as the television, including the sound system, the satellite receiver, the stereo, the vacuum cleaner, microwave, and the pine wardrobes. Most of all, I make him promise me one thing. Please, Chris, no matter what happened between us, please take care of Michael. He is an innocent child and needs you now. He doesn't have anybody else apart from you. Chris promises. I will take care of him until you come back. With the money of this Mr. Sturm, I can make further phone calls, but apart from Michael's number, I only remember the number of my daughter and my parents. To call my parents, I simply cannot do by heart. My daughter reacts, extraordinarily relaxed, telling me only that she is constantly in contact with Chris and that he promised her to do everything to bring me out of jail. But as she suggests bringing Michael back to Germany, everything inside me is revolting, and I beg her, no matter what is going to happen, Michael shall stay in Spain. Please respect this. He promised me to stay and wait for me there. She doesn't respond. But for me, Michael is my only hope and the only reason to go on with my life. As long as I can be sure that he will stay in Spain, I have a score, no matter how long I have to stay in this hell. The chapter Germany I closed finally a long time ago, and I risked everything to bring Michael back to Spain for good, far away from the country where we both just made bitter and sad experiences. In this hell, the days and nights are equal. I sit or lay on the mattress I share with Charlene, a woman from South Africa who was arrested only a few days after me. Between garbage bags, cockroaches, and lots of other unpleasant insects, everybody is just dumping ahead of themselves without the least occupation. The only change is the daily cleaning of the entire cage and the queuing for the shower. Since there are only 4 cells, there are just only 4 showers and toilets, and this for almost 160 women. But each cell has a small portable television, which 30 or 40 women squeeze in front of when it is time for the novellas or if there is a good movie on. Each Saturday, a music show comes on TV, Sabadaço. With this program, my interest for Brazilian music awakes for the second time. Forró, baile funk, sertaneja. Most of all, I like samba and pagode. This music just gets to me. If it rains, Charlene and I roll up the mattress and protect it with an empty garbage bag. We sit up all night in the rain, waiting for it to stop, so we maybe can still get a few hours sleep. The ones in the 4 cells are better off, but here exists a hierarchy. The ones who are here the longest time have the right for a bed, shared with somebody else, of course. The next ones are at least allowed to sleep inside the cell on the floor. Well, all the others are sleeping outside. Or not, if it rains. If somebody is released, the next ones are moving up in the hierarchy. Belle, the one who is longest in this cell, is very dominant, but good-hearted, and always keeps an eye on me. Supposedly, she already assumes that my life lost for me, lost all its value, and my health doesn't interest me at all. She begins to take me and Charlene inside the cell when it rains. Then we sleep in the only corner available, the so-called kitchen, where the dishes are directly next to the toilet. Soon I realized that Tanya, who gave me this very frightening impression at first, has a special talent. She knows how to entertain people and to make them laugh. Sometimes even I have to laugh about her comedic performances, even though I still feel like crying all the time at what is being watched by the others with laughter. One day a believing woman takes me to the side to make clear to me that we are all sitting in one boat here, and each and every one is trying to make the best out of the situation. Somebody like me is discouraging everybody and pulling them down. Therefore, I should stop crying all the time. What she says makes me withdraw myself from everybody, and I begin to reflect over my life. I hardly speak with anybody anymore. Instead, I start to write this book. I write about this horrifying present and also about my past. I live actually my entire life once more in my mind and ask myself what went wrong and why I am so different from the rest of my family.